So let's begin with implementation. The first thing that I'll do is, when we talk about this implementation of dynamic memory management, we have some standard library functions also which are available. And they have been provided to us traditionally through C language. So we will be discussing those standard library functions which are available, which have been traditionally provided to us by C. And then we'll turn towards what changes happen in C++. And once we finish with the traditional way of carrying out those operations, then as I promised, I'll be talking about what new things, what new developments have happened in this particular area, which has made C++ very, very interesting and quite safe to use. Remember, the most important thing here is quite safe to use. That's the most important thing that you have to keep in mind. Last time when we were discussing concept of memory, if you remember, I said one of the biggest reason of failure of C++ application is misuse of pointers. And so nowadays, many of the new generation languages have restricted pointers. They are references. But in C++, there is a lot of movement that is happening to make it easier for developer to use. And since C++ 11 and 14, we have changed several changes that have been made to this language, where the responsibility onto us as a developer has reduced substantially. But although we will be going ahead with the new style, it makes sense for us to also look at how it was done traditionally. And once we complete those things, then I'll discuss about what new features have been introduced in C++. And remember, I find some ex-students over here. These are topics that we have not yet explored during our previous sessions. And neither many people are aware of those particular topics. C++ has changed as a language significantly. Now it's time for us to also look and adopt those new changes that has happened to this particular language. But I cannot jump onto those new features or new changes that have been made, and they're quite welcome. Na? Keep in mind, C++, C are quite scary when we talk about dynamic memory management. But now that's not the case actually. I'm actually eager to share with you the new features, but it doesn't make sense for us to look into those new features. You will not appreciate till the time you do not see how it was done traditionally. So let's begin with a journey wherein we'll see as to how traditionally dynamic memory management was done in C++. We will start with some library functions, and this is the activation record. So this pointer, this number of integers, this variable idx, all of them are stored on that activation record of that particular function. So the moment you give a call to a function, that frame is loaded on the stack. And inside that frame, you have all the local variables, the return address, the return value, things that we do not even know. That's a working area for that particular function. It's a working area for that particular function. So that has been stored over here. That has been allocated memory. So this pointer has been created. It's a pointer to an integer. It's a pointer to an integer. And then what we have, let me start debugging. Then we have created a variable called as number of integers. That's just a variable that we have created, a number of integers. And then at runtime, I'm going to ask the user how many variables you would like to have. Note, although I'm using stdio.h, I should rather use, it's a C++ program. Let's make a correction. Let's not say stdio.h. Let's make the correction. We'll rather have to say, if it's a file which has an extension as C++, let me cancel this. When I say cstdio, it's not a C code, it's a C++ code. So let's say, or either change that extension to C. Here we go, cstdio and cstdio.h, cstdio, because we want that concept of namespaces to be there over here. Okay, it's a C++ program. I have saved this file with an extension as .cpp. So better change the names to appropriate. No .h, keep in mind. Otherwise, conflict of name, that issue will still be there. Here you go. So we have created a pointer. We have a pointer called as ptr. That pointer has been created. We had a variable number of digits. We have IDs, and we ask user how many integers you would like to have. User enters some value. Say user says he would like to have 5 integers. So he enters value as 5. So user enters value as 5. User enters value as 5. So now we are saying malloc size of int. Now, advice to you all. Do not have that overconfidence. Sir, I know what size of integer. Let me write 4. Let me write 2. Don't do that. As far as C++ goes, the size of the variables will be according to the machine architecture, the compiler that you're using. There are a lot many factors that will determine the size. So do not take a risk of specifying 4 or 2 anything over here. we have this operator called as size of. Depending on where this particular program is running, which compiler you're working on, accordingly it will automatically identify what's the size of variable for that particular host machine. So here when I say size of integer, so whatever is the size of integer for my host machine, it will automatically identify that. It will give me that number. And size of operator returns size underscore t only. Yeah? It also returns size underscore t. So there is no question of it returning value as null or something like that. That's not going to happen. It will return value of value that is of type size underscore t. And I'm saying into number of integers. So I'm just writing an expression here. I'm writing an expression. This expression will return as some value. This expression will return as some value. That means, suppose I had said number of integer 5 into 4, possibly my machine integer is of size 4 bytes. So 5 into 4, that is 20 bytes of memory will be allocated. But what's going to happen? It will just allocate a block of 20 bytes. Now it does not know for what purpose. You can use this 20 bytes of memory to store 20 characters. You can use this 20 bytes of memory to store an object which is size 20. You can use this 20 bytes of memory to store, say, 2 double values. Now it's for you to decide, but we plan to store integers over here. For whatever reason it may be the case. There is no use case right now, but for whatever may be the case, you plan to store integers over here. Now, since you plan to store integers, it's your duty, because malloc function, if you look at malloc function, the return type, look at that, it returns address which is of type void star. And I'm not going to store integers as address of type void star, because integer variable, whatever location where the integer variable has been stored, that address should be of type int star, or it will be of type integer int star. So I typecast it into int star. So I forcefully convert, type conversion. And C style casting, anything can be converted to anything. So address which is of type void star, which has been written by this particular function malloc. So it has written some address, malloc, that will now being typecasted to of type int star, because we have this pointer, point int star ptr. How do we read this? Ptr is a variable which can store address of any variable of type integer. So it's a pointer to an integer. A lot of people will read it as integer pointer. There is nothing as integer pointer. There is nothing as character pointer. You may have pointer to an integer, pointer to a character, pointer to a float. Likewise, this is a pointer which will store address of a variable of type integer. It's a pointer to an integer. So I say ptr is equal to. So this pointer will now point to this block that has been allocated by this particular function malloc, and we are assuming that malloc has succeeded. Had malloc failed, in that case it return value null. Had it written value null, I would have immediately printed an error message saying fprintf stderr. I'm sending the error message. So I'm saying stderr, and I would have sent given a message saying insufficient memory, and I would have discontinued the program. I no longer want to continue the program in case if the allocation has failed. So this is just a validation. Now this is another big problem when we talk about C++. So C style coding, when we do, if malloc fails, it is not throwing an exception. It is not reporting to me that it has failed. It is reporting to me in terms of flag. Flag means it is returning something, and I have to constantly cross-check what it has returned. So that's a big problem for a developer. That means every time he allocates memory, we make a request to allocate memory, we will have to check whether my request has been satisfied or not. Ideal scenario would have been, since we are working with C++, ideal scenario would have been, I should have called that function. If it succeeds, it returns me the address, and if it fails, it throws an exception and reports to us, this is something that has gone wrong. Your request has not been satisfied. Such kind of reporting should have happened. That does not happen with these standard library functions, malloc, calloc, realloc. They return value. We have to check what that value is. If the value is anything other than null, allocation is successful. And if it is null, that means it has failed. That means it has failed. So it is our duty to make sure that we cross-check. And this constant, every place in the program, wherever we have allocated memory, we'll always have to go ahead checking. And this can be eliminated using the new set of operators that C++ provides. So I'm just trying to give you a comparative analysis. What's going to happen? This casting that we are trying to do, that also need not be taken care of. Why? Because this new set of operators that I'm going to discuss, that we'll be exploring, they actually create variables. That means you can create 4 integers. You can create an object. You can create a character variable. Here we are not creating variables. We are not creating an array. We are just allocating a chunk of memory, which I'm treating as an array. No array. It is just 20 bytes of memory now. And now you to decide for what purpose you would like to allocate this particular memory and so on. So let's jump over here, debug the code once again and continue with that discussion. So, here we go. So we asked user how many bytes of memory would you like to have. He again says 5 bytes of 5 variables is what you like to have, integer variables. So we say size of 5 into 4, that is 20, and PTR, let's see. Now PTR is having some address. That means you are lucky. Block of memory has been allocated. PTR is now pointing to that address that you get to see. So OS has satisfied your request. You can at the most make a request to the OS. Your request may be accepted or your request may be rejected. I will do that thing also. We'll allocate a huge amount of memory, which is beyond what it can allocate. Obviously, it's going to fail. It's going to fail. So here we are successful and memory has been allocated. So we're checking PTR mein kya hai? There is some address which is stored. Can you see that 0x600699750? There is some address which is stored. I'm checking PTR null hai kya? No, it's not null. Now since it is not null, we go here and we print that address. Just for our understanding, we print that address. So this is the address where the memory has been allocated now. And then we plan to print the values which have been stored at the address. I say printf value %d star PTR plus IDX star PTR plus IDX. Now star PTR plus IDX. Okay, and what is the value? It's luckily printing value as 0, and there is no such assurance it will give you value 0. There can be some garbage value also that may come in. Here we are lucky to get value as 0. I plan to store some data here. And how does this work? This statement works star PTR plus IDX. So let me also explain you how does this particular statement work. Now PTR is pointing to a block of memory. Now here we have, let us stop this and discuss how this is actually happening. How do we read this notation star PTR plus IDX? So let's discuss it once before we go ahead. So now you have to excuse me, my diagrams are not very good. See, here we go. Assume that we are allocating memory. What have we said? Pin star malloc 10 nahi kaha abhi humne. So here we go. And say while we are allocating memory, we said 20 bytes. Huh? That's what we said. So let me make changes to this. Select here. Here we go. So instead of 10, we have now made a request for, we said 5 blocks, each of size 4 bytes, and 5 blocks each of 5 size 4 bytes. That means it is 20 bytes of memory. We have made a request. We had made a request to allocate 20 bytes of memory. So we had made a request to allocate 20 bytes of memory. Say 20 bytes of memory. Forget about that. This thing, semicolon missing. So don't kill it. Anyway, let's have it. Why write something which is wrong? So we allocate 5 into 4, that is 20 bytes of memory has been allocated, suppose. So we also, let's get rid of this now. We don't want this anymore. So when you do this, so this is a pointer PTR, and this pointer PTR is pointing to a block of 20 bytes. 20 bytes, one block, that's true. So this is a block of 20 bytes. But this 20 bytes of block is actually made up of nothing but blocks, several blocks of 4 bytes each, means 5 into 4, na? So 5 blocks. So even if it's 20 bytes, we can still consider it as if these are 5 blocks. So I could just say this is the first block, and this is the second block. Assume that these are all equal size, third block, and fourth and fifth block. So this is how it has now been stored. So let's say indexes, if you actually give indexes just to understand, or let's say addresses. Say the first block ka base address, say assume karte hain it was 400. Assume the address of the first block was 400. So it will be spanning from 400 से लेके 403 तक, 4 bytes, 400, 401, 402, and 403 तक. So the next block is at address 404. The next block is at address say 408. Likewise, the next block is at address 412, and the last block is at starting from address 416, and so on, 16, 17, 18, 19. So that's how these addresses are there. I'm putting this address in decimal just for you to understand. Actually, addresses will always be in hex. So your pointer is currently storing address that is 400. Your pointer is currently storing address that is 400. So that address 400 has been stored inside the pointer. So address 400 has been stored inside this pointer. So your pointer is currently storing address 400. That means your pointer is currently pointing to this block of memory. Pointer is currently pointing to this block of memory. So here is where your pointer is pointing to. Now we have written some statements, and what is the statement that we write? We wrote a statement to read the value. We ended up writing statement something like this. I wanted to read the value, so I have written statement. Let's write a separate statement. So suppose if I write a statement saying printf, I wanted to print the first value, so we said star %, star name printf %d, comma, I say star of PTR plus I ka value for the first time was 0. So PTR plus 0. Now what does this statement mean? This pointer PTR is pointing to address 400. So 400 plus 0 is 400. And star means value at this address. So whatever is the value at this address we want to print. So star of PTR plus 0 gives you the value at the first address, that is 400. Later, what we are doing is, we had taken, next time the loop iterates, if you remember that loop that we had, loop iterates, and next time ptr plus I is what we said, I ka value now becomes 1. Now when I ka value becomes 1, we are saying ptr plus 1, ptr is storing address as 400. 400 plus 1 will not be 401, because whenever we increment carry out pointer arithmetics, pointer में जब 1 add करेंगे, it will get added by the size of the variable to which it is pointing. So in this particular pointer is pointing to variable of type integer. So when I say ptr plus 1 या ptr minus 1, it will increment or decrement by the size of the variable. So currently ptr का value 400 है, 400 plus 0 is 400, but 400 plus 1 is not 401 in this case, it will be 404. So I get 404, and star of 404 means value at that particular address. So that's how that loop iterates. That's how that loop iterates. So next time I ka value will be 2. So 400 plus 2. Note, if I say a plus 1, a plus 2, a plus 3, that does not change the value of a. A will still remain the same, but the result of the expression will always be different. Likewise, ptr plus 0, 400. Ptr plus 1, 404. Ptr plus 2, 408. Ptr plus 3, 412. And ptr plus 4, 416. But ptr is still 400, because we are not saying ptr is equal to ptr plus something. We are just saying ptr. It's an expression. So this expression will give you different addresses, and since we are dereferencing by using star, what we will get is value at that particular location. So first time ptr plus 0, 400 plus 0 is 400, value at that location. Next time ptr plus 1, ptr is pointing to this location, ptr is 400, 400 plus 1 is 404, value at 404 is the value at that particular location. That's how we will go ahead accessing that particular data. So let's continue with the discussion. Here we go. So that is precisely what has happened here. So when I said ptr plus idx, idx value for the first time was 0. So ptr plus 0, that's 400. Star of 400, value at address 400. Next time idx value is 1. ptr plus 1, 404. Assume ptr was pointing to 400. 400 plus 1 is not 401, 404. And star of 400 is value at that location. So that's how we access the value. Now it's time for us to store the value. Remember, in C, to fetch the value we are pointed to by pointer, we say star ptr. But that's what while printing. But scanf, if you remember, requires the address, because if I had a variable of type integer x, assume there is a variable of type x which is of type integer, and to scan the value, it will say scanf %d or %i, comma, ampersand of x, address of x, and ptr is already storing address. So if I want to store values at that location, I don't have to put that indirect dereferencing operator star. So I'm saying ptr plus idx. So idx value for the first time is 0. ptr plus idx, remember, assume karo, go back to the diagram what we saw there, just a moment back. So ptr is 400, assume. So it is 6, in this real case it is 764, suppose, really address the 764. Let's say 400, because that is the diagram that we are drawn. So 400 plus 0 is 400. Scanf requires address. So anyway, you are passing address over here. So at that particular address, the data will get stored. Next time, ptr plus 1, 400 plus 1 will be 404. Next address, and next address. So likewise, at every subsequent address, we'll go ahead storing the data. So first address, the data has been stored. So let's say we store the first address value as 10, and then ptr plus idx. Let's see the next address, I store value as 20, and the next address I store value as 30. Next address I store value as 30. Likewise, I go storing value at all the addresses. Here we go. I store address. Next is 40 and next is 50. We have stored the addresses, values at that address. So ptr is pointing to a location. Okay, ptr is pointing to location, and the location where it is pointing to star ptr is as good as saying ptr plus 0 whole thing like a star. That's value 10. But then we'd like to fetch the value. So again, we iterate through the loop. So I get the first value, watch it, 10, second value, third value, fourth value, and so we have accessed all the variables. Now, let's come back to our diagram. Now, if you look at, stop, and we go ahead, go to this, have a look at our whiteboard once again. Now, we finished with the operations. Now, we stored whatever data you would like to store over here. Here we store value as, say, whatever data we wanted to store, we have stored. Here we stored 10, here we stored 20, here we stored 20, here we are storing 30, here we are storing 40, here we are storing 50. So whatever data we had to store, we have stored. Now we are finished with this array. For whatever purpose we had to create that array, suppose we have created, we have used, we are finished with the utility. We don't want this array anymore. So in that case, we have to say free ptr. The moment you say free ptr, let's go back to this. After carrying out this operation, suppose after carrying out this operation, after carrying out this particular operation, here we go. After carrying out these operations, now if I say free ptr, now moment I say free ptr, what's going to happen? ptr is pointing to address 400. Starting from address 400, there is 20 bytes of memory which has been allocated. So keep in mind, this entire block of 20 bytes will get released. And what you see right now, what I'm doing is exactly what will happen. 20 bytes of memory has got released, but the variables are still there, at the data is still there at that location, and pointer is also still pointing to this location. So now we have a pointer which is pointing to a block of memory. Look, this pointer is still storing address 400. Now we have a pointer, it's still pointing to a block of memory, and where possibly whatever allocation that we had previously done, that has been released. So there is no variable which is there is no block of memory which is there. Data is there, and the data is nothing but garbage. So the data is very much there. But pointer jahan point kar raha hai, there is no block of memory which has been already allocated, that has now been released. Such pointer is called as a dangling pointer. And here, galti se, if I again say free PTR, starting from this, it may go on to the entire heap list may get crashed, the entire heap, the program may fail. So your pointer pointing to a block of memory where there is no allocation is known as dangling pointer. So it is pointing to a block of memory where there is no variable which is stored. The value may be there, but that value is anyway garbage. So you have to be cautious. The moment you say free PTR, the first thing that you should do after saying free PTR is something like this. Have a look at the code. The first thing that we should do is, if I say free PTR will destroy that array. Array will get destroyed. Data will still remain. Pointer will still be pointing to the same location. I'm going to show you that. Pointer mein dekho 69750 hai. That's the address. I say free PTR. But pointer is still pointing to the same location. Watch that. PTR is still having that particular address. And there is where that dangling pointer has come into action. And to make sure that it is no longer a dangling pointer, I'll say PTR is equal to null. So I'll remove that address that was stored, because now PTR will not be pointing to any other block of memory. Now, I again ask user how many block of memory, how many integers you would like to store. Now something very interesting. Huh? How many bytes of memory you would like to store? Say this time user says 10 integers you would like to have. Watch it, very careful, 10 integers. And you remember that address that was there earlier? It was 750 or something like that. Huh? Now I say int star calloc number of integers. Number of integers I said 10. 10 into 4, that is 40 bytes. So this time around I'm asking for 40 bytes of memory. Now, if you're asking for 40 bytes of memory, there is a possibility that the previously whatever address 400 that we had, that is here it was something like 752 or 756, 750, something like that. It is possible that you may this time around get the same block of memory. So it may use the same block of memory for allocation. There is very much a possibility, and that's what we will see now. But what does calloc do? Calloc initializes each of that block of memory with value 0. So your 10, 20, 30 you will not get to see. Had I used malloc, there was a possibility. Let's use malloc and see. Let's do that. Let's use malloc and see, so that we'll get to understand that behavior. Suppose I say malloc size of size. Watch it very carefully. Yeah? I said malloc size of size, size of number of integers. Here there is a variable called as number of integers. Let's do this. Let's jump start from here, and we have discussed the first half of it, and we'll continue from where we have left in the diagram. Huh? See what's happening. And I again say malloc, and then next time I'll say calloc, and I'll show you some very interesting aspects. What may happen? No assurance as such. So first time we said I want 5 bytes of memory. I store some values into it, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. We printed the value and that memory has been released. So assume karo yahan tak sab kuch ho gaya. We allocated memory. We printed those default values. We store the values into it, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. We printed those 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. We freed that block of memory. It is no longer pointing to any other block of memory. Now again we ask user how many integers he would like to store. This time user says he would like to store 10 integers. He would like to store say 5 ki jagah 8 integers. 8 integers. So sorry. Okay, the 8 integers. So I'm saying size of int, that is 4. 4 into 8. 8 5s are 40. Whatever 40 whatever it is. Last time we had said 32 bytes of memory. 8 4s are 32. So 32 bytes of memory will now be allocated. So your size of integer is 4 bytes. Number of integers is 8. 8 4s are 32. 32 bytes of memory will be allocated. PTR mein check karte what has happened. Can you see that address? 69750. It was the same address that we had got last time. Means what has happened now? Let's stop this share and go back, and let's look at the whiteboard once again. During the second request, you said free memory. So that has been freed. But here it was 20 bytes. This data was still there. Now after this, what you are doing is, after this, you are now saying malloc. Again, once again, you are saying malloc. You said PTR is equal to int star malloc of 8 into 4, and that's 32 bytes of memory. Correct? So what's going to happen now? In this particular case now, there is a possibility that since this block of memory is already available, so starting from the same location, it will now go ahead allocating 40 bytes. and your ptr will again end up pointing to the same location memory. And that's precisely what has happened in that case, because we are talking about that address 750, and note currently that pointer is again storing the same address. Pointer is currently storing the same address. Look at that. Pointer is showing the same address 750. That means the same block. So the data is still there, I said. So let's see whether we get 0 or do we get 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So that's what we are going to do now. So I print the address. So allocation is successful, and we print the value at that address. Huh? See the first value I print. What is the value? 10. So the value was not lost. That means we release the memory. We have reused that memory for allocation. The value is still there. And what I'm going to do is, I'm saying star ptr plus id is equal to 99. That means I'm going to alter the value which is stored at that location. So I'm going to change it to 99. Let's look at the second value. What is there? That's 20. Let's look at the third value which is there. That's 30. Fourth value, 40. Fifth value, 50. यहाँ तक assurance है. आगे का there is no assurance. Next value, luckily 0. Next value, some garbage. That's what I was saying, garbage. Now, in the previous example, I did not get that garbage. I was just waiting for this garbage value, because once we have allocated a memory, malloc doesn't give an assurance. In the first case, what has happened? We luckily got all values as 0, but there is no assurance. I said so. First 5 blocks we got some value. That's also garbage for us, because what is happening is this 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 was some garbage in the memory. So that garbage plus some 0, some garbage again, and that 0 was also garbage. Let's print the last block. What is there at that particular block of memory? And there was, so this is garbage. So malloc does not initialize that block of memory. We are lucky to have this thing. A lot of times it just ends up showing 0, 0, 0, 0 every time. Okay. And now we have printed those values. And now since we have changed each of that block of memory to value as 99, now when we run through this particular loop, what will happen is we'll have those values as 99. And there is a big problem mistake that we have done. Here again, the first thing that I should have done is I should have said free ptr, because since we have finished with the work, and then I should have said ptr is equal to null. That will take it as a thumb rule. Anytime you finish with using that block of memory, release by saying ptr, and to make sure that it's no longer the wrangling pointer, say null ptr. Now, one small change that I'll do in this particular code is instead of malloc, I'll now use calloc. That's one small change that I'll do. What we saw here, when we went ahead with printing the values, the first 5 values is what we got, what were earlier stored, and the next 3 values were unpredictable values. Actually, everything was unpredictable. That was garbage. But since it was the same location which was allocated, so we got the previous values which are stored at that location. Let's repeat this code. Now I said first time I have 5 variables. Look at that, garbage 0, 0, 0, 0, and then garbage 32. Where did this 32 come from? I don't know. This malloc has allocated block of memory. Look at that. Good that we are getting this garbage, so it's not a trouble for me. Sometimes while demonstrating, it does not show garbage, and then I get fed up. I just have to switch over the compiler. So we allocated some block of memory, 20 bytes of memory. 5 into 4, 20 bytes of memory, and then we printed it. Luckily, at most of the places we got 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and at one place we got value as 32, garbage. Then I say now 10 bytes, because after doing this, memory has been released, because we are at a location where we have released the memory. Now when we release the memory, I enter the integer. No, sorry, not released. We are storing the value. So I'm saying 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. So I get all those values 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. But then after this, what I have done, after storing this 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, I am releasing the memory. So I'm going to say free ptr and null. So I'm going to say free ptr and null, and then again I ask the user how much memory is to be allocated. Here, this time around I say I would like to have 10 variables. 10 variables is 40 bytes. But note कीजिएगा, this time there will be no garbage. All zeros for sure. All 10 zeros. Why? Because this time when we allocated memory, we have allocated memory by using a function called as calloc. What does calloc do? It creates n number of variables, each of n number of blocks, let me say, not variables, blocks. Okay, so n was 10, 10 blocks, each of size 4 bytes. So each block was large enough to store an integer. You could have stored a float also. It has nothing to do with that. But each block, so I said 10 blocks, each of size 4 bytes, return an address. Luckily, we got the same address. If you see the output, it was the same address. Let's print the output and see output window. Window output. Look at that. The address was the same. Okay, whatever must have been the previous address. Okay, I could just say print that address previously, whatever has been allocated, wherever the address has been allocated for your reference. So previously also I have printed the address. Let's see, was it the same address at both the cases? Oh, this time it was different. Memory allocated at this address, and here the memory is allocated at this address. Okay, this time it was different address, but whatever, it may be same or it may be different. But point is, all blocks of memory have been initialized to value as 0. So there is no case of any garbage value that will come into it. Malloc will allocate memory, will not initialize. Calloc will allocate memory and initialize each of that block of memory to value as 0. Okay, let's proceed further. We have 10 more minutes, and let's at least cover up this C style. Now let's do a comparison between malloc and calloc. Now that we saw this malloc, we also saw a lot of things. Malloc, calloc also we saw the difference. So I'll not go ahead with those discussion again now. Rather, we'll now go ahead with malloc and calloc. We'll see the difference between them. What actually happens. Okay, here, watch it carefully now. We have again a pointer, IPTR pointer, which is storing address of a variable of type integer. And I say malloc size of int. That means we are creating only 4 bytes of memory. Now this 4 bytes of memory can be utilized for any purpose, just a 4 bytes of memory. But since we plan to store integer over here, I have typecasted this as int star and store its address into a pointer to an integer so that I can access it. And I'm going to print that address, int star PTR. I have printed entire C++ code. Printing that address. So C++ provides you this function. Just header file, make sure that you use CHTLeave and kind of thing. Okay, and then I print the value at that location. Now, when I print this value, I cannot predict what value will be there because we have used function malloc, no initialization. So there will be some garbage value that may get printed. Then I say star PTR equals 77. That means at that block of memory, I'm storing value 77. And then I say value star PTR, I'll get value 77. When I say free IPTR, that block will be released. Block will be released means memory will be released. IPTR is assigned value as null. So no more dangling pointer. No more dangling pointer. So here we are. So let's do a quick revision. When I say int malloc size of int, when I'm saying this, block of memory is allocated. So let's take this block of memory. Let's take this particular code. Let's think about this. So pointer is pointing to a block of 4 bytes. We print the address. We print the address. We print the value at that address. We change the value at that address, and so on. We print the value at that address. We release the block of memory. Pointer null. Had I used calloc, it's just a revision. Had I used calloc, I would have said I want one block of 4 bytes. But in that case, when I print this address can be same, it can be different. But when I print the value, it will not be garbage. Whereas over here, when I had allocated memory, there is quite a possibility that I may get garbage over here. Here, there is an assurance that I'll get value as 0. I change the value at that location, I print the value, and I release the memory. Till here, it's all fine. So let's trace this particular code till this place, and then we'll go ahead with what happens with the new operators which have been made available for us in C++. New means operator new which has been made available in C++, and there are fantastic new things that are available in C++ which I plan to discuss next time with you. So I say malloc size. Look at this. This pointer is currently having some garbage value. Oh, luckily it is 0 only. That's null. There is very interesting discussion that we are going to have about this 0 and null. 0, null PTR, because 0 is null and null PTR. So I'm going to have that discussion as well. But let's not bother too much about it right now. So malloc of size of int 4 bytes of memory has been allocated starting from some address. Look at that address 5BB10. So when I print this particular address, that address has got printed. After that, I print value at that address. Luckily, we got 0. It could have been any garbage value. I store the value at that location. I print the value. So that's 77. And then I free that block of memory. IPTR is equal to null. IPTR is not pointing to any location. But keep in mind, previously memory was allocated at this location where value was 77. Now I say calloc 1 size of int. Now IPTR is currently null. I allocate memory. I print the address. Let's see what's the address that has got printed. Can you see that? It's the same address where the memory has been again allocated. So that same block of memory has been reused for the second allocation. But then you will not get to see value 77 because we have allocated memory using calloc, and calloc provides you an assurance that that block of memory will be initialized. So it has not been initialized with value as 0. So let's see what's the value. Guaranteed to be 0. Malloc, no such assurance. I store value 66 at that location. I print that value 66. I free that block of memory and I say null. Pointer, no dangling pointer. Look at that syntax. If I use malloc or if I use calloc, in both the cases, we had to specify what's the size. A lot of time people don't use size of integer. They feel that I know what's the size. And then if you know what's the size, tell me what's the size of long double. And there's a user-defined structure and you may fail to correctly calculate the size of that particular structure. Why take that risk? We always have to use this operator called a size of. It will automatically calculate the size and return you the size. But then With C++, you don't really have to worry about those things. What is the statement? It says ptr is equal to new int matter close. New int. So integer has been created. So here we actually create variables of type integer. It actually creates variable. I said new int, so integer. Had I said new character, had I said if I want to have an array, that's also possible, but I'll come back to it later. And right now I'm saying new int, the integer variable has been created. Note, there is no typecasting which is required, because if a variable of type integer has been created, obviously its address is of type int star. So you don't have to say treat this block of memory as if it's an integer, right? It is an integer which has been created. So you do not have to treat that block of memory of anything. It is an integer. Since it's an integer, its address is of type int star. No typecasting required. In calloc also we had done typecasting. In malloc also we had done typecasting, because both of them return type was void star. Whereas new creates variables of the specified type, and that specified type can be basic type or it can be user defined type, whatever type it may be. So variable has been created. Now I print the address. So luckily it's the same address once again, because the previous block was free. So it's same address. I print the value at that address, and like always, if I say int I, any garbage value. So here also there is a possibility that we will get garbage value. Look at that, there's a garbage value. That's okay. And there is a mechanism to handle that as well. I say star ptr is equal to 55. Value at that location has been changed. I print the address. And address is not going to change. Address is the same. Value at that address, obviously it has changed to value as 55. It has changed to value as 55. I say delete ptr. Note, if you allocate memory by using operator new, you have to delete it using delete. If you allocate memory by using malloc, or if you allocate memory using calloc, the only way to delete is by using free. तो न्यू कैलॉक रीअलॉक रिलीज करना है तो फ्री. न्यू से एलोकेट किया मेमोरी, सॉरी malloc, calloc and realloc. If you allocate memory, release करने के लिए you have only one function, that is free. And if you release allocate memory by using operator new, the only way to release that memory is by using operator delete. So I say delete ptr. So delete is one step further. Delete will actually destroy that variable. It does something more, but dangling pointer का problem अभी भी रहेगा. Pointer में address है db10, and even if I say delete, it's still pointing to the same location. Then यहाँ भी dangling pointer है. I want to take care of it, so I set it to value as null. So no more dangling. Important point was calloc created a block of memory initialized to value 0. Malloc did not initialize. But they did not create variables. They only created blocks of memories. And new creates integer. So I could, if I'm normally defining a local variable, I could say int I equal to 10, or I could say int I. So when I say int I, it's something like this. And when I say int I equal to 44, it's something like this. You can create an integer and also initialize it to the value. It's like calling a constructor. So when I'm saying new int of 44, that means an integer variable has been created, a block of integer variable has been created. I will not say block of memory. Integer variable has been created, and it has also been initialized with value as 44, a value of your choice that has been initialized. So the variable has been initialized with value of your choice. So if I print address, address possibly could be same. Look at that, address is again the same. And I'm saying star ptr, no chance of garbage, value 44, delete ptr, and so on. Okay. Again I print the address. Null abhi aa jayega. I had stored null. Null is 0. I had a variable double ptr, dptr, which is of type long double. So I say new long double 4.5. I should rather say 4.5 L, long double. Double 4.5 is double, long double is L with a decimal point. So I say new long double 4.5 L. So I have created a block of memory. I am asking it to create a new double variable. So it will now create a variable of type new double, long double, which will initialize the value as 4.5. And I print that address. Oh, it's the same address, but block of address is quite larger now. This time it is a large address. And I print the value at that address, whatever value I stored, 4.5. And let's see how much is the size of this particular block of memory which has been allocated. Now 16 bytes of memory has been allocated starting from the same address. Earlier, starting from this address, 4 bytes. Again, 4 we are allocating. Now since we are allocated double, so starting from the same address, it has gone allocating 16 bytes of memory. Delete karna hai, delete ptr, and return value 0. That is what we had to see initial discussion. Very, very basic discussion just to bring about difference between new and delete and malloc and free kind of thing. Okay, let us take one small example and wind up for today's discussion. We have been creating variables. Now we would like to create objects. Now if I want to create an object, the best thing that happens is when we create an object, say there is a class that I have. And inside this is a class called as video. And inside this class video, I have an array, say I have a character array, title 20, float, language, and so on. So I have an array which is there. And I have an array which is there. And there are some constructors which are there. Oh, we forgot about array of primitive type. So let's cover up primitive type first, and then we'll go ahead with class type. Here we go. This time around I'm going to work with characters, and I'll directly take example of new, because we saw for malloc and calloc how we can create an array. In the last example when I said 5 into 4, we saw that. So I'll not take those examples. I'll directly go ahead with look at this code. We have already done similar kind of code. Issue of size of char had side of integer into number of integers, and then we printed all those values. I discussed this star plus idx. So this thing has been done. So let's do it using C++ style, how we can carry out this same operation. I have a pointer to a character. CPTR is a variable, pointer variable, which can store address of a character. Initialized to value as null. I have another variable called as number of alphabets. I ask user how many alphabets you would like to have. User enters some alphabet, 5, 4, whatever it is. And what do I say? I say new char square bracket number of alphabets. Array has been created. Remember by using malloc, what we have to say is number of alphabets into size of character kind of thing. Calloc will have to say number of alphabets, comma, size of char kind of thing. So here I'm saying new char number of alphabets. An array has been created. Now there is a reason why I'm taking this example. Primitive types. I'll cover up primitive types today. Next time I'll take up array type, and we'll continue with the discussion. So array type, user defined type, class types, and then maybe our new features in C++. So new char of number of alphabets is what I'm saying. So when I'm saying this new char, last time what did we say? New int. It created single variable. Now when I'm saying array, so here we go. We ask user how many alphabets you would like to have. This time user says he would like to have 5 alphabets. User says you would like to have 5 alphabets. User says you would like to 5 alphabets. So here we go. New char. Had I just said new char, had I said only new char, it would have created single variable of type character. But I'm not saying new char. I'm saying new char of number of alphabets. And number of alphabets are given as 5. So it's going to create an array of 5 characters for us automatically. So array of 5 characters have been created. CPT is pointing to some location. No garbage. Here we go. And we print the values, anything, garbage, any value could have been printed. I do not know what will get printed. So let's print the values and see what gets printed. Oh, I'm reading the value, not printing. I say scene star of idx. You may say, sir, why star? Remember in C++, if there is a character variable ch, if I have to print the value, I say cout ch. And if I have to accept the value, I still say scene ch, scene extraction operator ch. That means at both the times we have to give the value at the location, kind of variable name. So here I go. I enter the first character. I'll run the code once again. I mistakenly pressed enter. So let's jump start from here. So I say debug project. I'll jump start from here. Here I go. So it's asking how many variables I'd like to have. I say 5 variables is what I would like to have. So we come here. It says enter the alphabets. So I enter idx for the first time is asking me to enter alphabet. I enter alphabet, say as A, B, A I have entered, suppose. Next pass, B has got stored, enter has got stored, sorry. A, B, C I had entered, okay, C. Then I stored D and E, suppose. I have already stored. So I already entered and kept. So C and D has got stored, we come out. And we print the values at that location. First A, then B, C, D, and E. Let's see. A, B, C, D has got printed. So values have been stored. But word of caution for us. We allocated memory by using new. You said new char. If you look at this statement, we said new char of 5. Array has got created. Whenever we allocate memory using new, you have to say delete. Is that right? So, but had I said delete, let me just stop sharing over here. What would happen? Let me tell you. Word of caution. Very, very carefully you have to be when we allocate memory using this. So suppose you have created these blocks of memory by using new operator. You have created these blocks of memory by using new operator. Type कोई भी रहे, array create किया आपने. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 का array create किया. And now you by mistakenly you say delete. So delete PTR, and PTR is pointing to this array. Suppose this array was of integer. So PTR is int star PTR. So it will only release this one block of memory. अगर आपने delete PTR कहा तो. I actually want to release the entire array. So if you want to release the entire array, you cannot just say delete PTR or delete CPTR. You will have to say delete square bracket CPTR. So this pointer CPTR is not pointing to a single variable of type character. Sorry. This pointer CPTR, here we go. This pointer CPTR is not pointing to a variable of single variable of type character. It's pointing to array. So while deleting, you'll have to say square bracket. I'm going to show you the proof of this later with objects. It does not delete the entire array if I do not use this square bracket. Last time when we had used this operator delete, we have been directly saying delete dptr. It deleted a single variable. So if I say delete cptr over here, and had I not used this square bracket, if cptr just block को point करा a, look at that, pointer is pointing to that block of memory where a, b, c, d, e is stored, out of which it will release memory only of a. That b, c, d, e will now remain as memory leak, garbage. Not just garbage, memory leak. गिरीश आपके क्वेश्चन के लिए मेमोरी तो अलग हो चुकी है, उसमें से ए का मेमोरी रिलीज हो चुका है, ए भी मेमोरी में है, वो एक बाइट रिलीज हो जाएगा, सी डी ई का ब्लॉक ऑफ मेमोरी रिमेन एज इट इज. दैट 4 बाइट्स सी डी ई बी सी ई डी कैन नॉट बी यूज्ड फॉर सम अदर पर्पस बिकॉज वो लीक हो चुका है. यू अलोकेटेड, यू फॉरगॉट टू रिलीज इट, एंड इफ यू forget to release it, that's memory leak. That means that block of memory cannot be utilized for any other purpose. In the previous examples, we always reuse the same memory because before we reused, we cleared that memory by saying delete, free. Free say that memory was released, so it could have been, it was utilized for some other allocation. But here, if I just say delete CPTR, it will release only the memory where CPTR is pointing to, the first block of memory. That first character will get released, and the next 4 characters will remain in the memory as it is. A will also remain, but the difference will be that next 4 bytes will not be used for some other purpose. So that can result to memory leak. And to avoid that, while it's delete memory, I will say delete square bracket CPTR. Now when I say delete square bracket PTR, in that case, that block of memory will now get deleted. Here we go. It has now been deleted. Nothing to see, but memory has been deleted and CPTR is gone null. I could also initialize an array. We said new int of 44. If you remember, we had initialized single variable of type integer. Now what am I doing? I'm saying double star p is equal to new double of 3. That means I would like to have an array of 3 doubles, and I have initialized that entire array. So it's not just about initializing a single variable int I equal to 4, new int in square bracket in round bracket 44. No, we can also initialize an array. I'm saying create an array of 3 double and also initialize them with these 3 values, 1.5, 2.4, 3.9, so on so, and we print the values. Let's see. And we have printed those values successfully. I forgot to release it. Don't worry, रहेंगे values नीचे. Oh, it just did not get printed. I'll run the code and show you. It is always there. How many alphabets you would like to have? I said 5 alphabets. Enter K, A, V, D, E, and R. And look at that, there is 3 values, 1.5, 2.4, and 3.9. That means they are there. What we forgot to do here is say delete square bracket P. Okay, P. And square bracket is important. And next is P is equal to null. I'm going to talk about that null again. A very extensive discussion we'll have about null, why to use, why not to use, and so on. Currently, we saw one more feature right now today. Had I not used this square bracket, then P is pointing to base address of 1.5. Only this block of memory will get released, and these 2 variables will not get released. Memory leak. You allocate a memory for some purpose, you forget to release it, you are not utilizing it, you lose its address as well. Memory leak. Now we are finished with how primitive type of variables can be handled. What needs to be discussed is how objects can be handled, how you can work with objects, user-defined types, memory allocation, deallocation. That will be the next discussion for us, next session. So that's all for today. Thank you for being for the session. See you for the next class.